love your child so much that somewhere along the way the love became a grip, and you cannot tell anymore where your faith in God ends and your control over their future begins. That is not a parenting preference. That is a test. And it has been running in your home longer than you realize. What if God is not asking you to love your child less? What if He is asking you to trust Him more? And your grip on your child's future is the thing standing between you and the answer to every prayer you have prayed over them? By the end of this video, you will understand the 3 things God was actually testing on that mountain with Abraham, and which one He is testing in your home right now. 2 mothers, both praying faithfully over their children. Both would describe their children as gifts from God. The first holds the gift so tightly that every threat to it, real or imagined, activates a fear that overrides her faith. She prays for God to protect her child and simultaneously leaves no room for God to direct them. Every door God closes, she prays back open. Every path she did not choose, she steers her child away from. The faith is genuine. The grip is tighter. The second mother faced the same fear and made a different decision, not because she loves her child less, because she understands something the mountain taught Abraham. That open hands can receive what closed ones cannot. Her child is not more protected. They are more formed, because the God she released them to is larger than the plan she released them from. Genesis 22:12. The angel of the Lord stops Abraham at the moment of total surrender. Do not lay a hand on the boy. Now I know that you fear God, because you have not withheld from me your son, your only son. 3 words carry the entire weight of the test. You have not withheld. The test was never about Isaac's life. It was always about Abraham's grip. God was not measuring Abraham's obedience. He was measuring what Abraham trusted Him with, and what he was still holding back. The test on that mountain is still running. It is running in every home where a parent prays over their child and parents over their child and cannot tell the difference between the two. The first thing God was testing was the one Abraham least expected to be examined. The first test, whether Abraham loved the promise more than the promise giver. Isaac was not only a child, he was the answer to 25 years of waiting. The proof that God keeps His word. The evidence Abraham pointed to when his faith needed confirmation. And somewhere in the years of watching his son grow, the son had become the faith. Isaac was the thing Abraham was believing in, not a sign pointing to God, a substitute for him. Matthew 6:21. Jesus says, "Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." The treasure Abraham had been keeping was not money or land or legacy. It was Isaac. The child had become the location of Abraham's heart, and a heart located in a child cannot be fully located in God. The test on the mountain was not cruel, it was surgical. God was not taking Isaac. He was relocating Abraham's heart back to the place it was designed to live. The child who becomes the location of a parent's heart does not receive that love as a gift. They receive it as a weight. They can feel that they are holding something for their parent that was never theirs to hold, and they will either collapse under it or spend their life running from it. The reframe. The child you cannot imagine releasing to God has already become something God never designed them to be for you. The second test is the one most Christian parents recognize intellectually and resist practically, because it requires surrendering the one area they most want to control. The second test, whether Abraham trusted God with the outcome he could not see. Abraham did not know what was on the other side of the mountain. He knew what God had promised. He knew what God was asking. And the distance between the promise and the ask was 3 days of walking with his son toward an altar he could not explain. Hebrews 11:19 records what was happening inside Abraham as he walked. Abraham reasoned that God could even raise the dead. He did not have a resurrection theology fully formed. He had a conviction that the God who gave Isaac could restore Isaac. He could not see the ram in the thicket from the bottom of the mountain. He trusted before the provision was visible. The parent who will only release their child's future once they can see where it is going is not trusting God. They are managing Him. They are offering God the parts of their child's life where the outcome is already acceptable and holding back the rest. And the rest, the uncertain parts, the ones that require actual faith, is precisely where God does His most irreplaceable work. The generational consequence is a child who grows up watching a parent pray boldly and trust narrowly, who concludes that faith is the language you use and control is the method you keep, and who builds their own adult life on the same foundation. The reframe. The outcome you cannot see from here is the exact location where God's best work is already prepared. Now look at what happened at the bottom of the mountain before Abraham ever took the first step up it. because this is where the test actually began, and it is the part of the story most parents have never examined. Genesis 22:3. Early the next morning, Abraham got up and loaded his donkey. No record of argument, no evidence of negotiation, no 3-day delay while Abraham processed the request. He got up early. The man who had waited 25 years for this child rose before dawn to obey a command that made no human sense. And he told his servants in verse 5, "We will worship, and then we will come back to you." We. Both of us. He spoke the return before he could see it. He declared the outcome his faith was holding before the provision was anywhere in view. This is the portrait of a parent who has genuinely released their child to God. Not with grief, not with resignation, with a declaration, with an early morning, with a donkey loaded and a direction chosen before the fear had time to organize itself into an argument. Most parents wait until the fear has made its full case before they decide whether to obey. Abraham obeyed before the fear could speak. That is not extraordinary faith. That is the faith available to any parent willing to get up early enough. The third test is the quietest one on the mountain, and it is the one God is most consistently examining in Christian homes right now. The third test, whether Abraham would let Isaac witness genuine surrender. Isaac was not a spectator on that mountain. He was present for the entire walk. He carried the wood. He asked the question his father had no comfortable answer to. "Father, where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" Genesis 22:7. And Abraham answered him, "God himself will provide the lamb." Isaac watched his father not have the answer. He watched Abraham trust out loud without the full picture. He watched surrender happen in real time, in his presence, without performance or pretense. And at the end of the mountain, Isaac came down with his father. He did not come down with a father who had hidden the hard parts from him. He came down with a man whose faith he had witnessed survive something that had no comfortable explanation. Deuteronomy 6:6 and 7. These commandments are to be on your hearts. Impress them on your children. The word impress in Hebrew, shanan, means to sharpen, to make incisive. The formation that cuts deep enough to last does not happen in a classroom. It happens when a child watches their parents' faith get tested on a real mountain and sees it hold. The child who only witnesses managed, comfortable, certain faith does not inherit faith. They inherit a performance. The child who watches their parent trust God without the full picture inherits something they can use when they face their own mountain without the full picture. The reframe: your child does not need to see your faith at its most polished. They need to see it at its most honest. You came into this video holding something, a plan for your child's future, a fear about what happens if you release it, a grip that has been steady for so long it has started to feel like faithfulness. It is not faithfulness. It is the test. God is not asking you to stop loving your child. He is asking you what your love is built on, whether the child has become the location of your heart rather than the object of your stewardship, whether your prayers are genuine trust or eloquent control, whether your child has ever watched your faith hold under weight that could not be explained away. The ram is already in the thicket. The provision is already prepared, but it is on the other side of open hands. And open hands require a parent willing to release what they have been gripping, not because they trust the outcome, but because they trust the God who holds it. Abraham came down the mountain with his son and a new name for God. Genesis 22:14. The Lord will provide. He did not know that name before the mountain. He could not have known it. It was only available on the other side of surrender. And the name he carried down became the inheritance he passed forward. Your child is waiting for you to come down from this mountain with a name you could only learn by letting go. If you are ready to hold your child open-handed, go to the comments right now and type, "I will hold my child open-handed." That is not just a comment. That is the declaration that changes what your child inherits from this moment forward. And if a parent came to mind while you watched this, someone gripping a child that was always meant to be held loosely, send this to them today, because the mountain is already in front of them. They just need someone to tell them what is waiting on the other side.